What if I told you there's a Toyota that could have produced 750 horsepower in 1986, or a Nissan that cost $1 million, but only one was ever built? These aren't myths. They're the sports cars that the world never truly got to know. In March 1963, with just 2 months until Le Mans, Aston Martin's team manager John Wyer sent a memo that would create automotive legend. The memo outlined exact requirements for what would become the DP215, the ultimate evolution of Aston Martin's racing program and their final factory racing effort. This wasn't just another racing car project. David Brown himself approved the ambitious plan, assigning it to chief engineer Ted Cutting, with engine development by the legendary Tadek Marek. The DP215 represented the end of an era, Aston Martin's last serious attempt at Le Mans domination after their stunning 1959 victory. The concept was brilliant in its simplicity. The DP215 would serve as the hare, designed to break Ferrari by setting an unsustainable pace. While Ferrari engines blew trying to keep up, the accompanying DP214s would cruise to victory. It was psychological warfare disguised as engineering excellence. Under the hood sat Tadek Marek's masterpiece, a 4.0-liter inline-six, producing 345 brake horsepower at 5,750 revolutions per minute. 350 DCO Weber carburetors fed the twin-plug engine configuration, sourced at enormous expense for this final racing push. The power delivery was smooth yet brutal, generating 330 pound-feet of torque. The chassis modifications were equally revolutionary. Engineers moved the engine 8 inches rearward in a modified DB4 GT chassis, dramatically improving weight distribution. Wind tunnel testing revealed the swept cam tail design was essential to prevent massive rear lift at speeds above 175 miles per hour or 282 kilometers per hour. These aerodynamic innovations made history. Phil Hill officially recorded the DP215 as the first car to exceed 300 kilometers per hour at Le Mans, hitting 198.6 miles per hour on the Mulsanne Straight. More importantly, Hill described it as light and controllable at such speeds, testament to the advanced engineering that made it stable at these tremendous velocities. The DP215's racing debut came at Le Mans 1963. Running 9th overall and showing tremendous pace, everything seemed perfect. The car was fulfilling its role as the Ferrari breaking hare, setting blistering lap times that forced competitors into increasingly desperate responses. Then disaster struck. After just 2 hours and 12 minutes, only 29 laps into the 24-hour endurance test, transmission failure ended the dream. The teeth on the input bevel had failed, likely overwhelmed by the extra torque from the enlarged 4.0-liter engine. This problem had never occurred with smaller-engined DBR cars. A subsequent appearance at the 12 Hours of Rhymes saw identical transmission failure on lap 4. The DP215's competitive career was over before it truly began, taking Aston Martin's factory racing program with it. The timing couldn't have been worse. David Brown's financial situation was deteriorating rapidly, and the racing department closure was inevitable. The DP215 became an expensive monument to what might have been the fastest front-engined Aston Martin ever created, capable of changing Le Mans history if the transmission had held together. Only one DP215 was ever built, making it one of history's most exclusive racing cars. This sole survivor was eventually reunited with its original engine after decades of separation, selling at R.M. Sotheby's Monterey in 2018 for a record-breaking price reflecting its unique significance. The DP215 represents more than a failed racing car. It's the final chapter of British racing's golden age, embodying the ambitious engineering and gentleman racer spirit that defined Aston Martin's greatest era. Had those transmission components held together, we might be telling a very different story about 1960s racing dominance. The Triumph TR8 was supposed to be Britain's answer to the Chevrolet Corvette, a V8-powered sports car that could compete with American muscle while maintaining distinctly British character. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about how corporate chaos can destroy even the most promising automotive projects. Development began in 1972, with Triumph engineers dreaming of creating the perfect English Corvette. The wedge-shaped TR7 provided an ideal foundation, and the proven Rover V8 offered reliable power. Everything seemed aligned for success, but British Leyland's perpetual crisis machine was just getting started. By 1978, approximately 145 prototype cars had been built, demonstrating serious commitment to the project. Around 150 pre-production V8 coupes rolled off the Speak production line in 1977, ready for the planned 1978 market launch. Then British Leyland's legendary labor dispute struck again, forcing cancellation of the entire 1978 model year. The TR8's heart was the aluminum Rover V8, a 3.5-liter 3,523 cubic centimeter power plant derived from the early 1960s Buick 215 cubic inch engine that Rover had acquired from General Motors. This was a smart choice, avoiding Triumph's own problematic single overhead cam V8 from the troubled Stag. Early carbureted models produced 133 brake horsepower at 5,000 revolutions per minute, while later fuel-injected versions reached 148 brake horsepower. The California-specific fuel-injected variant generated 137 brake horsepower and 165 pound-feet of torque at 3,200 revolutions per minute. Weighing 1,203 kilograms, or 2,652 pounds, the TR8 could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7.7 seconds, reaching top speeds between 119 and 135 miles per hour, depending on specification. The advanced Bosch L-Jetronic fuel injection system appeared on approximately 400 1980 California models and all 1981 to 1982 examples, featuring a specially designed Lucas electronic control unit. This made the TR8 one of the most technologically sophisticated British sports cars of its era, showcasing engineering excellence that deserved better market conditions. Performance was genuinely impressive. American automotive journalists praised the TR8's handling, acceleration, and distinctive wedge styling. Here was a legitimate Corvette competitor with European refinement and sporting credentials that could have revitalized British sports car exports. But external factors conspired against success. British Leyland was hemorrhaging money during the early 1980s recession, losing funds on every car produced. The TR8's $11,200 to $12,000 price tag brought it uncomfortably close to the $15,000 Chevrolet Corvette, creating an impossible competitive situation. Rising fuel prices impacted V8 sales across the industry, while constant labor strikes and management changes disrupted production schedules and destroyed market confidence. Low-volume sports cars became prime targets for elimination, as British Leyland focused desperately on volume models. The final blow came on October 5, 1981, when production ceased permanently. Only approximately 2,750 units were ever built worldwide, with just 22 right-hand drive examples created for the UK market. The majority went to American and Canadian buyers who never got to see the car's full potential realized. The TR8's cancellation marked the end of mass-market British sports car manufacturing. When that last wedge rolled off the production line, it concluded a sporting Triumph lineage, dating back to the 1920s and effectively ended Britain's role in affordable sports car production. Despite earning recognition as the English Corvette and receiving enthusiastic reviews from the American motoring press. The TR8's rarity has made it largely forgotten compared to its TR7 sibling. Its brief production run represents one of automotive history's greatest missed opportunities. A car that could have changed British sports car fortunes if circumstances had aligned differently. The Toyota 222D represents rally's ultimate what-if story. A mid-engine monster that could have redefined motorsport, if not for tragedy striking the sport itself. Developed under strict secrecy starting in 1984, this project aimed to create the most extreme rally car ever conceived. Toyota's timing seemed perfect. The MR2 had just launched in 1984, providing an ideal mid-engine platform for rally domination. The new Group S regulations proposed by FISA promised even more extreme machinery than the already legendary Group B cars that were thrilling and terrifying audiences worldwide. Working entirely in-house to maximize knowledge retention, Toyota set an aggressive December 1985 completion target. This wasn't badge engineering or outsourced development. Toyota was building their rally future from the ground up, investing heavily in what they believed would dominate the World Rally Championship. The 222D shared the MR2's basic mid-engine silhouette, but had virtually nothing else in common with the road car. Engineers created an entirely different construction method, using a central monocoque with tubular rear subframe, representing purpose-built racing technology rather than modified production car components. Under the engine cover sat Toyota's turbocharged masterpiece. Variants included the 503E at 2,140 cubic centimeters and 4TGTE at 2,090 cubic centimeters. A single KKKK27 turbocharger with air-to-air intercooler fed Nippodenso D Jetronic electronic fuel injection, producing 380 brake horsepower at 9,000 revolutions per minute and 317 pound-feet of torque at 5,500 revolutions per minute in development trim. But those were conservative numbers. Race-ready specification promised up to 750 horsepower from the same basic engine package. Combined with the car's featherweight, 750 kilogram, or approximately 1,650 pound mass, the power-to-weight ratio would have been absolutely devastating on rally stages. The drivetrain innovation was equally revolutionary. Toyota developed a torque split mechanism, allowing drivers to switch between 2- and 4-wheel drive during competition. Rear-wheel drive mode optimized tarmac performance, while the X-Track 4-wheel drive system handled gravel stages. No rally car had ever offered such versatility. Entirely lightweight composite body panels covered advanced aerodynamics that wouldn't appear in production cars for decades. The 222D represented the absolute cutting edge of 1980s motorsport technology, incorporating innovations that influenced rally car development for generations. Then rallying's darkest period began. Fatal crashes in 1985 prompted FISA to reconsider the proposed Group S regulations. But the real catastrophe came in 1986. The tragic events of that season's Tour de Course changed motorsport forever. Within 24 hours of deciding to ban Group B cars from 1987, announced the day after the fateful 1986 Tour de Course, FISA also canceled Group S completely. This sudden rule change came despite manufacturers having invested years and millions of dollars developing Group S contenders. Toyota's development team watched helplessly as their nearly completed project became worthless overnight. The sport's governing body's dramatic turnaround left them with a finished but unusable race car, representing one of motorsport history's most expensive canceled projects. Between 10 to 11 prototypes were completed before cancellation, but only 3 examples survive today. A black example resides at Toyota Motorsport GmbH in Cologne, Germany, while a white example is displayed at Toyota's Mega Web showroom in Tokyo, Japan. The third example's location varies depending on sources. The 222D's advanced technology eventually influenced Toyota's later rally efforts, contributing to their World Rally Championship success with more conventional cars. The switchable drivetrain concept and extreme power-to-weight ratio pushed boundaries that mainstream automotive development eventually reached. For enthusiasts, the Toyota 222D has become legend, a glimpse of what Group S rallying might have achieved, if not for the tragic events that reshaped motorsport safety forever. It represents the peak of 1980s rally car development and the end of the anything goes philosophy that created increasingly spectacular and dangerous competition machines. The Nissan R390 GT1 road car represents the ultimate expression of homologation loopholes taken to their absolute extreme. In September 1996, Nissan President Yoshikazu Hanawa signed a 2-year agreement that would create one of the most exclusive supercars ever built, and then immediately abandon it. This wasn't about building road cars. GT1 regulations required manufacturers to produce at least one road-legal version for racing homologation, and Nissan identified this loophole as their ticket to Le Mans victory. Like Porsche with their 911 GT1, Nissan would create a purpose-built racing car with minimal concessions to actual road use. Developed by Tom Walkinshaw Racing in England, the R390 represented Nissan's serious commitment to endurance racing dominance. The company invested heavily in what they hoped would be a championship-winning program, with the road car existing purely to satisfy bureaucratic requirements. The result was automotive insanity, disguised as legal compliance. The VRH35L twin-turbocharged 3.5-liter V8 produced 558 PS, or 550 horsepower, at 6,800 revolutions per minute, generating 470 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 revolutions per minute. Nissan officially claimed over 350 PS for homologation purposes, understating the true output by nearly 200 horsepower. The all-carbon fiber chassis weighed just 1,100 kilograms, or 2,420 pounds, creating a power-to-weight ratio that was frankly dangerous for road use. An X-Track 6-speed sequential manual transmission delivered power to the rear wheels, while massive AP 14-inch vented disc brakes with 6 piston calipers provided stopping power worthy of Le Mans competition. Advanced technology included launch control and traction control systems, cutting-edge features for the late 1990s. The suspension used upper and lower A-arm configuration with coil springs, inboard shock absorbers, and anti-roll bars front and rear, derived directly from the racing car setup. Performance figures were staggering. 0 to 60 miles per hour took just 3.9 seconds, with quarter-mile times of 11.9 seconds. Nissan claimed a top speed of 354 kilometers per hour or 220 miles per hour, though this remained unverified due to the car's track-focused gearing and aerodynamics. The car's proportions were dictated by racing requirements rather than road usability. Measuring 185.8 inches long and 78.7 inches wide, the R390's extremely low, wide stance made it virtually unusable on public roads, despite its legal registration. This was a race car wearing number plates. The R390's brief racing career was genuinely successful. 4 cars entered Le Mans 1998, achieving remarkable results with 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 10th overall finishes. These results demonstrated what Nissan could accomplish when fully committed to motorsport excellence. But success came too late. Following the 1998 Le Mans 24 Hours, GT1 rules changed significantly to prevent manufacturers from exploiting homologation loopholes. The new LMGTP prototype class for 1999 allowed more race-specific construction without road-going requirements, making the R390's entire concept obsolete. Faced with completely redesigning the R390 as a prototype or abandoning the program entirely, Nissan chose the latter. Rising development costs, combined with increasing competitiveness from Mercedes and Toyota in the revised GT classes, made continuation financially unviable. After mixed results in 1998 to 1999, including some victories over Toyota at Fuji Speedway, Nissan discontinued Le Mans-style racing at the end of 1999. The company shifted focus to other motorsport disciplines, ending their brief but spectacular return to endurance racing. Only one road car was ever built, never intended for sale, though Nissan offered to build additional examples at $1 million each. 8 racing chassis were constructed over 2 years, but the sole road car remains the ultimate forbidden fruit for collectors. The R390 GT1 represents the peak of GT1 homologation specials and the end of an era in endurance racing. Its extreme specifications and single-car production run make it one of the most exclusive supercars ever created, existing solely to satisfy racing regulations that would be changed before the car could fulfill its purpose. Currently residing in Nismo's Zama warehouse alongside the number 32 race car, the R390 road car stands as a monument to automotive extremism and regulatory manipulation, a supercar that was never meant to be super, created for a purpose that vanished before completion.